Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tommo and let's talk all about the 2025 Italian Grand Prix. And as I am late to the live stream, here's some Minton, okay? My apologies. I'm about 3 minutes late, which is very much unacceptable. But my microphone decided it wanted to absolutely drop its guts just before the stream started. But it seems to be fixed now. I think I sound all right. And Minton is here. And he probably wouldn't have been otherwise. But someone who guilt-tripped me in the chat. Someone in the chat, Crizzy. Crizzy? I want to say Crizzy. Tommo should give us Minton as punishment. And I don't know who's being punished because look at him. He's absolutely beautiful, aren't you? Aren't you? Just the most gorgeous little man. But anyway, welcome. We are here to talk all about Formula 1. We're here to talk about the 2025 Italian Grand Prix at the Temple of Speed at Monza. A race I'm very excited for. Always delivers bangers. A very simple track, a very historic track, very elegant track. Something about it, apart from the first chicane, of course, which is anything but elegant. Otherwise, superb, lovely jubbly. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's not hang about. Let's not waste anyone's time. Round 16, Monza. We will be, after this race, we'll be exactly 2/3 of the way through the season. Because, of course, 24 weekends in total. This will be 16. 34-point gap for Oscar Piastri at the top. And this was a big race for them two last year, wasn't it? This was one that in that McLaren driver dynamic, even though it was only Lando realistically in with a shot, kind of realistically, not that realistic, let's be real. With the title with Max, Oscar showed that he's about this year. He was about last year, and he's certainly been about this year, hasn't he? Certainly been about this year. So let's take a look at it. So we the Autodromo Internazionale di Monza in Italy. That's my awful Italian accent. We have, how many corners is this? 11 corners around Monza. Not that many at all. Very, very full throttle, the most full throttle circuit on the calendar, surely. It must be, right? In terms of percentage lap full throttle. So, of course, Lando Norris's car conking out last weekend, which does appear to have actually been a McLaren fault, not a Mercedes fault necessarily with the PU. But this is very tough on power units for obvious reasons. So, if we're going to see any DNFs, you wouldn't write off in Monza, especially if the temp's kind of higher. I did have a little look on Google for the old weather forecast going into this weekend. There could be a bit of rain early Friday, but broadly speaking, it's expecting to be a dry weekend. However, of course, you can't predict the weather a day out, let alone 4 days out like we are right now. So, yes, Friday, highs of 25, lows of 18, and that's basically the case over the course of the weekend. Tyre compound wise, C3 through to C5, so soft, of course. Most of the time you're going in a straight line. You're not putting crazy energy through the tyres, so you can afford to run the softer compounds to hopefully create a two-stop. Two stops are always better than one stops, realistically, right? So we want two stops, please. Hopefully the compounds are soft enough, although they've not used the new C6. So they felt the need to not go too crazy, to not go too all in this weekend. You're right there. You're just kind of nicely balanced. You're nicely balanced up there, aren't you? You're feeling very elegant today, aren't you? His little paws hanging down. Isn't he just the most glorious little sausage dog? No sprint this weekend, right? A few of you are saying sprint in the chat. I've not got this massive. There's not a sprint this weekend, is there? I'm pretty sure there isn't. No, it's not a sprint. Stop messing with me, all right? You're messing with me. I know these things, and then that's the beauty of live, though. You get information, but you also sometimes get information of the miss variety. No sprint this weekend. However, I'm cool with that. For me, I mean, Austria is the prime sprint event. Okay, venue. We got a sprint in Austin. We got more towards the back. Reverse grid half. Why not? Just chuck a reserve grid because why the hell not? But yeah, 11 corners. Very little undulation around Monza. It's a pretty flat circuit. It's a bit uphill through turn 3, but it's not known for its massive changes in elevation. And the corners that we do have are pretty slow speed, which does play into the favour. Play into a certain red team's favour. You would think, you would expect, you would anticipate, because of course, I mean, the McLarens are quick everywhere, right? But low speed, medium speed, high speed corners. We know the Red Bull in Max's hands is very good through the high speed. McLaren's good in every type of corner. Ferrari is very good traction out of those slow speed corners. And fingers crossed for the Tifosi. This is, of course, there's 2 kind of home Grand Prix for Ferrari with Imola, with Monza. But fingers crossed, this is the one that really delivers on track, because Ferrari always turn up for Monza, and I really hope that this year isn't any different, because I'd love to see the Scuderia boys right at the very top. Please, that would be simply lovely. Don't jinx it, Tina. Too late. It's already been jinxed. It's already done. Right, Minton, do you want to go back to your mum? Yeah? You want to go back to your mother? Right, say bye to everyone. Look at our, like, aerodynamic. I'd love to put him in a wind tunnel. Be fascinating, right? Come on, mate. Say bye to your adoring fans. Look at him. If you're listening audio only, I do apologise. This has been a very visual episode because look at him. But you'll have to check out the YouTube one, or the video version that is on Spotify. This does go on video on Spotify, right? Go on then, mate. Off you pop. Out you go. Do you want to go out? Look, now he's like, I don't want to leave. You gonna go? Go on. Call him, Han. She's not calling him. Go on. Go on. Go. Honestly, that dog, he's in 2 minds at all times. He's very, very... I just took him for a walk, actually, before this, and it's blowing a gale down here. So he was not enjoying it. He kept trying to stop, and I'm like, come on, mate. No, and his ears are just like all over the place. Anyway, I digress. So, what happened last time? Well, Charles Leclerc won the 2024 Italian Grand Prix, making a one-stop strategy work, a one-stop that wasn't expected. Oscar Piastri got his move done on his teammate Lando Norris on lap 1. Huge, very, very big, great move into the second chicane. Clean. Lando lost it a little bit, and Charles was able to sneak his way through and split the McLarens, and that ended up being pivotal ultimately in the race result. And McLaren boxed Oscar out of P1. Thought the 2-stop was the way forward, but Ferrari made the 1-stop work. And fingers crossed, when you get a bit of unpredictability, teams not sure about strategy, because that's almost better than, knowing a 2-stop. If everyone knows it's going to be a 2-stop, that's one thing. That's better than everyone knowing it's going to be a 1-stop. What's better than both of those things is if no one knows if it's a 1 or 2. And we saw this last time out, and Charles took the win fairly comfortably in the end. So, lovely jubbly. A few people talking about Colton Herta in the chat, which I will get back onto. That appears to be new information, but I will confirm that. A few of you are saying it in live chat, but I'll double check myself once we've got over. But that could be big, if true. If true, which you'll know by the time you're watching this, whether that is true or not. But yes, last time out, it delivered a very, very enthralling, exciting race. Fingers crossed it does the same again this time out. So quickly to reflect on the qualifying head-to-head. Qualifying. Speak normally. Head-to-head so far this season, 18 of 30 qualifying sessions complete in 2025. These are the averages on screen now. I'm keeping track of these as the year goes through. I'm not going to talk about this too much. This is more interesting in the post-race, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed. You can have a little look. Biggest gap on average, Verstappen ahead of Tsunoda, of course. Smallest gap on average, Ocon ahead of Behrman. We've got 3 driver pairings within half a tenth, in fact, on average. Piastri Norris within a tenth advantage, Oscar. So very, very close, very, very tight. Don't you worry, the breaking news that appears to be going on in the live chat, I will get up screen share and we can have a little look at that shortly. So that's the quality head-to-head. Driver standing so far this season. Again, Piastri extends his gap. 34 points with Lando Norris's DNF last weekend. Terrible luck for Lando. And I said it in that video, I'll say it again. I think now over the course of the season, this gap, the way it sits, I think is representative of the advantage that Oscar has had over the course of the season. I think this is a merited, deserved gap. Oscar's had bad luck. Lando's had bad luck. I think this is now, I'm happy with this. And if Lando goes on to win this championship from this position and outperform Oscar, then he'll have deserved it, absolutely. But I hope it comes down to the wire. It's a shame when technical DNFs get in the way and make it seem... The thing is, it's an inherent part of motorsport, but I think we're in a place now where the cars are so reliable typically that we're not seeing it get in the way, and it does... As much as it is a team sport, you want to see the driver who deserves to win or deserves to be ahead of their teammate to be ahead of their teammate. And sometimes luck works in your favour, sometimes it doesn't. And it just takes one DNF on Oscar's side and a big point swing towards Lando, and all of a sudden it's, single digits again. So would it be single? Yeah, it would be single digits. If Lando scored 25, Oscar 0, then it would just be back to 9 points again, wouldn't it? That is the maths. That is the maths. Antonelli and Albon on the same points is crazy. It is. It is, Patrick. It is pretty crazy. It's been a difficult season for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. In the spotlight, chucked in a top team. Look, Mercedes surely can't have been naive to the potential that this was going to happen. And thank God Kimi has had Canada. Thank God Kimi's had Miami. Those instances to showcase what he can actually do and where his ceiling is. His ceiling is clearly right up there. Clearly right up there. They've just got to persist. They've just got to get these mistakes out of his system. And I'm confident Andrea Kimi Antonelli will be a top F1 driver. He will be. He has the sauce, J-Pro, exactly as you put it. He has the sauce, no doubt in my mind. And then the team standings. McLaren, of course, a country mile ahead. Over double of the points, well over double of the points of Scuderia Ferrari in P2. The battle for 5th, really? I mean, 5th to 9th is super, super competitive. Williams on 80, Aston Martin 62, Racing Bulls 60, Sauber 51, Haas 44. So that's the one that's going to go down to the wire, definitely. On a good weekend, Haas can be best of the rest. On a bad weekend, Williams can be worst of the rest. So there is potential for some serious swings here, lots of points on offer, and especially where, Yuki's not getting in the points with any degree of consistency. Kim is now starting to not get in the points with that much consistency. That opens up more of this top 10 for drivers in those other teams as well. That's the beauty of... It's not perfect at the end of a regulation cycle, but that is one of the beauties of the end of the regulation cycle, is that the whole field has compressed. Yes, McLaren still have an advantage out front, which is bigger than we'd like it to be, of course, but that gap from the slowest, absolute slowest, to the midfield and the absolute slowest to the fastest is smaller than it's ever been, really, hasn't it? Surely. Right, so those are the team standards. Okay, so now you lot have been chatting in the live chat about a little bit of news, which appears to have dropped. So what I'm going to do is open up the old Twitter if it decides to load. You gonna load anytime soon? No, you're gonna take your time. I'm gonna have to start calling you X shortly. Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay, it is true. Right. What I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna open this up, and then I'm gonna open up the old Instagram, because I've already got this set up and it's looking gravy. So if I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, it is confirmed, as my face moves off, that Colton Herta is Cadillac's test driver in Formula One. Introducing our new test driver, Colton Herta. Welcome him in the comments. Colton, love to see it. This is a dream opportunity and one I've been working towards for a long time. To be part of Cadillac's F1 entry at such a pivotal time is something I couldn't pass up. So test driver, reserve role. Obviously we know he's done a little bit of mileage in a McLaren. Him and Alex Palou both got a little... And Pato... Wait, no, am I thinking of Pato? Has Colton done anyone? I'm sure he's done a bit of McLaren mileage, surely. Hasn't he? Chat? Chat, you'll definitely tell me. I'm pretty sure he has, no? Or am I just making that up? A test over reserved because the super license system is rigged. Ha, yeah, you can say that again. Has Colton done? Yeah, he has. John, thank you, John. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going crazy. Does that mean he'll do any preseason testing? I mean, look, who knows, right? Test driver, that could involve many things. Of course, he doesn't have the super license points to have a full-time F1 seat, but I'm sure he has enough super license points to do free practices. Because isn't the super license requirement, it's lower, right, for practice sessions than it is for the full season, right? Am I correct? Surely. But yeah, I mean, look, when Ollie got 6 FP1s in the Haas, sticking Colton in, obviously Colton already heavily linked to Andretti, which of course this team kind of isn't, but kind of is. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's getting this shot. I'm glad he's getting this opportunity, and I hope we see him in some FP1s because I think Colton has got a lot of ability. You got to remember he was racing against Lando, wasn't he, in the junior levels? I want to say like British F4 or something, perhaps. I think that was it. He was racing against Lando. But yeah, big news, exciting for Colton. Chuffed for him. He seems like a very sound lad. I remember I did a video on this channel, was it ages ago, talking about how I thought it was a bit of a shambles, really, that someone like Colton, where Red Bull with Toro Rosso were interested at the time in getting him in, and even though he's proven himself against arguably the most competitive grid in motorsport in IndyCar, that he's still not allowed in because it's not an FIA discipline, which, you know, the point of the super license system should be to ensure merit and nothing else, but it clearly is also political because they would give IndyCar more points if it was an FIA series. It's not an FIA series, so they give it less points, and that has nothing to do with merit. That's purely politics. So yeah, I think we'll see. I really hope we see him in some FP1 sessions. That would be lovely to see for Colton. I would be very happy with him, for him, if that is the case. A few of you are saying he's going to be F2. Colton Herta F2 They didn't mention that in the statement. I gets F1 role ahead of likely F2. So the race is saying that it's a likely F2 switch, but it's not. Yeah, it's not confirmed. Essentially, it's not confirmed because he's leaving. Let me get old screen share up here, and then we can read this article together from the race. 25-year-old IndyCar's youngest ever race winner. 25. It sounds. I mean, I'm 32. I'm very aware of that, but that is kind of old by rookie standards. But he merits the opportunity, in my opinion. Bold move or silly way style verdict has hurt a set for F2 switch. Yeah, so it's all but confirmed. All but confirmed he'll be in F2 next year. That's going to be really interesting. A 25-year-old Colton Herta in Formula 2. I mean, that is going to be like, he's going to have to be consistently up there. That is going to be big pressure on Colton to deliver the kind of performances that we know he can through IndyCar in an F2 car. And maybe we'll see him in F1. I mean, Cadillac will give him the shot, the opportunity, and they've got Perez and Bottas who are going to be stalwarts. They know what they're doing in Formula 1. I'm excited for this. I am excited for this prospect. This looks good to me. Happy days. Well done, Colton. Got a lot of love for him. 25, that's too old. I mean, 25-year-old rookies is approaching Nick DeVries territory. Yeah, not quite Nick DeVries territory, but yes. Happy for you, Colton. Also, separate news. Ferrari this weekend. This is not so much news. This is just vibes because, wow. C'est magnifique. This Ferrari throwback livery to Niki Lauda's 1975 title-winning car. He won in 75, didn't he? I think. I don't know. I wasn't about back then. Even that. I'm not that old, all right? I'm not that old. But this livery looks unbelievable. It's a proper throwback to the 75 Ferrari with the big white strip along the top. And actually, for me, the HP works way better on this than it does on the base car. Having the white interacts more seamlessly with the white of the H and the P on the HP logo. We've been moaning about that for all season, basically. But this is excellent. I absolutely love the way this looks. This, for me, is like basically how the Ferrari should look. It's more white than it should be ideally, but if you're going to have HP, then I think you need this amount of white to make the HP look nice, and the actual car in isolation, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I think it's unbelievable. This is certified banger. I'm not even going to bother doing a poll. Not even going to bother doing a poll. I don't care what anyone else has to say. This is a worldie. I don't care. This is a worldie. This is the only correct opinion, okay? The only correct opinion. Unbelievable. And the race suits as well, really nice. Feel free to look them up yourself. They've got some blue bits. They've got some modified normal suits. They've absolutely nailed it this year. Not always these special edition liveries. Sometimes they're a bit stinky, but this is my probably favourite of any Ferrari special edition that we've seen in recent years for me, in my opinion. Tommo dictatorship, exactly FRDR. That's the way it should be. Looks tremendous. Modern day John. See? John knows. John knows what's up. John knows what's up. I love to see it. And also, another little thing I want to talk about is a few words from Mr. Stefano Domenicali. A few interesting words. I'll screen share up again. Let's get this nicely cropped. Took this from Autosport. A few little quotes from him. We believe the race is a bit too long for young people. We're seeing on many of our channels that highlights are very popular. Stefano Domenicali on F1. These are just a few quotes taken from him. To put it bluntly, they're tired of free practice, they being young people. So any young people in the chat. Our surveys, which I wasn't... were any of you asked in this survey that's knocking about? I mean, mate, I'm 32, so I'm not a young person anymore, I guess, by that kind of definition, which is deeply troubling to me. But you kind of have to accept the passage of time, right? Our survey showed the majority of the audience wants, it's just the majority of the audience, not even just young people, want the drivers to fight for a result. But practice doesn't really give results, does it? Practice is just, I know they are at fastest time at FP1 and all that, but it's not really a result, is it? I don't know. Aside from some older diehard fans, hello, everyone wants sprint weekends. Stefano's not pulling any punches here. These are some ballsy words. Promoters push for this format, and now the drivers are interested as well. Definitely didn't ask Max. Definitely didn't ask Max. I mean, the sprints need some work, but I would say I'm more open than, I wouldn't say most, but I'm pretty open to sprints. So I think they give a lot of value, especially when you're there in person. I think the race being a bit too long. I think sometimes races feel too long because they're really dull, because there's no overtaking. If you had a race that had loads of overtake, it wouldn't feel so long. So surely the solution, rather than shortening races, is to make the races that are the length that they are currently more exciting, more interesting, more engaging. Is that crazy? Is that a crazy thing to say? We're seeing on many of our channels that highlights are very popular. Like, I'm not being funny. I guess my instinct, because this is my work, I always watch the highlights. But obviously, I'm going to do that because I need to refresh my mind before I go live, blah, blah, blah. So, but I reckon like a lot of people, I reckon a lot of you watch the highlights after watching the full Grand Prix. Just to, relive it a bit. And it's only like a 8-minute highlight package. So it's not a big loss of time. To say that highlights are doing well, then that means that the races are too long. I don't know. And maybe that's just this quote slightly misrepresenting what he's trying to say, but I think the highlights can be successful, but also the races can still be long. You know what I mean? I don't think those points are diametrically opposed, in my opinion. Tired of free practice. I mean, yes, obviously you only get one practice session with sprint weekends, and because what I will say is that I think FP1 in a sprint weekend is more engaging than FP1 2 or 3 on a non-sprint weekend, in my opinion, because you know that this is their only chance. This is the only running we're seeing. That's literally it. So I think, and because you know that sprint qualifying is coming later that day, I think that does make FP1 sprint weekends more interesting. So I agree with that premise. But I mean, it's motorsport. You kind of have to let the cars practice, but not too much. They used to absolutely take liberties back in the day, didn't they? But yeah. What do you lot think? What do you lot think of these comments from Stefano? What are we saying? Stefano needs to chill a little, do you reckon? Yeah, maybe he needs to chill out a little bit. Maybe he needs to chill a little bit. Domenicali is neither young or correct. Ouch, Keeley. Ouch, savage. Highlights are popular because a lot of people can't see the race or practice also, Lou. Very good points. So if you're in the UK, it's behind the Sky paywall, which is not cheap. If you want to watch the full Grand Prix, whenever I'm, unless I use VPN, which sometimes you can do that when you're away. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. It's difficult to watch these full races. It is very difficult sometimes to get these full Grand Prix. So free highlights on YouTube, no brainer. And as the sport increases in interest, I think it's more realistic. I don't know about you, right? But if you're just getting into the sport, if you've watched the F1 movie, watched Drive to Survive, and you want to get into the sport, I think watching the highlights is a way, it makes more sense to, all right, I'm thinking about F1. I'll just watch the highlights of this weekend, see if I like the highlights, because they're the best bits, and then gradually be like, all right, maybe I'll give a full race a try. I feel like that's like the next step before you dedicate like 2 hours of your weekend to watching a Grand Prix. I think just consuming the highlights as a first step makes sense. That's just me. Extremely common, Stefano Domenicali L. Dutchman. Not a fan. Unchained, the race suggestion is garbage, but quali needs to be made more dynamic and the camera angles need work. Every quali should look like Jeddah 22, so maybe one shot. Pal, I've been calling for one shot to at least be experimented with in Monaco. I would still like to see that tried out in Monaco. I think the sprint qualies need to be different. Like, just why wouldn't you? Because not only do I think one shot does have merit above, and it makes some things worse as well. It's not a the perfect solution doesn't exist. But I do think it then makes the sprints, if we're going to have sprint quali, sprint race, and then normal quali, normal race as we do at the moment, which I think is the better way of doing it, it then almost packages the sprint as a separate thing more so, rather than like remembering back and trying to remember what happened in sprint quali versus what happened in normal quali, because they're basically the same, just a little bit shorter is the sprint. Like, I always get mixed up with things that have happened in sprint quali and normal quali. So again, I do think that the sprint format is going to eventually be the normal format in Formula One. Right now, it's a quarter of races. It's 6 of 24. I think eventually it will get to the point where there's more value for the promoter. And Stefano did mention this in his kind of quotes. There's more value for the promoter. There's more value for the fan there in person. And yes, I understand that a lot of people aren't able to watch sprint quali on a Friday. They miss out on that session, that competitive session, because they're working. And that's a valid criticism. However, let's just say that as a fan, you can't watch Friday because you're working. You're still getting a race Saturday, a quali Saturday, and a race Sunday versus a practice Saturday, quali Saturday, race Sunday. So you're still seeing more competitive stuff. And the sprints, look, all I'm saying is that I understand how they're going to justify this. And it will move towards sprints every weekend. And almost for me, I think the more it's going to happen. So as much as I like the classic format, I do think there are, and I prefer the classic format to the sprint format in my opinion, but I understand that the sprint format is the way it's going to go. And I think it can be better. And I do think, yeah, there is possibly ways that they could make the sprint weekend format even better than the existing format. And I think we should be open to that and trying to discuss what are the ways they should be doing it, rather than just being like, no, I want it like it was back in the old days, because we all get caught in that stuff. And it's like, there is value. There is value in it. There is some value in it. MotoGP route, yeah, MotoGP does some things a little differently. I'm not overly familiar. I know, I've heard about the MotoGP formats being a bit different to F1. I'm not super clued up on that, in my opinion. But yeah, look, Stefano is the sport's in a place at the minute where, obviously, with the F1 movie, that's going to bring a lot of people over. I think the start of next season, not only with a rule change, but you're going to see a big influx of people coming in who have caught the bug. And right now they're kind of consuming it maybe casually, and then they're going to go all in 2026. It's an important time for the sport, and the sport is just pushing and trying to elevate and keep going and going and going and getting. It's going to hit a ceiling at some point, right? But it's still in that big growth phase at the moment, and we'll see. Just reverse top 10 in sprints to make it more interesting. Whoa, that would be a little contentious, just to say the least. And again, that's the thing. Every solution you propose is going to have counter arguments, because a perfect system doesn't exist. It's just finding the best compromise across the board is the way forward. I reckon it will be, it's 6 of 24 at the moment. Then it will be 8. Then it will be 10. Then it will be 12. Then they'll probably go straight from 12 to 16, and then probably from 16 they'll just do the whole thing. Probably from 12 they'll just do the whole thing. Only a matter of time. But again, I want to know, right? And again, if any of you in this survey that he's talking about here, our surveys, which survey? I wasn't surveyed. Where's my survey? That's why I wasn't surveyed, because I'm one of these. We're all one of these. And I don't think we would have got surveyed. But I could be wrong. Maybe I just didn't get the invite. Maybe the memo missed me, which I will not take personally, apart from I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Who's we? Didn't hear? Yeah, none of you heard of the surveys. Hang on, everyone. Philip has arrived. Philip Pay just joined. Can you restart? Of course, Philip. Just for you. Welcome to TOMMO'S Race. I mean, it's a good intro. It's not that good. Right. Shall we crack on with? I'm going to keep doing that one. I'm going to keep pulling that one out, because I think it's kind of funny. I think that's kind of funny. Shall we do bangers and clangers? Shall we do bangers and clangers? Let's do bangers and clangers, shall we? Starting with my predictions for the 2025 Italian Grand Prix. Go on then, FDR. Go on then. Starting with race winner. Who's going to sit atop that podium in P1 with the Tifosi surrounding them, celebrating, joyous, a wonderful, glorious occasion, as much as I would love to say Alex Albon. And I don't want to write off a potential podium. If Hulkenberg can get podiums this year, so can Albon, right? So can Albon. But this weekend, I've decided to resume my consumption of the Kool-Aid that I drank before this season started, when I predicted Ferrari to win the championship. Slightly different version of Kool-Aid, though, because that Kool-Aid was Charles Leclerc flavoured. This Kool-Aid is Sir Lewis Hamilton flavoured. I'm going Lewis wins in Monza, because the chance of nothing unlikely happening is in itself unlikely. Manifestation, blah-de-blah-de-blah. All right? Drink up. And again, I'm reading all your reactions in the live chats. You know, hell nah, man, that's a crazy take. Lamau, is your throwback from Jakob. I will remember your shock, even with the grid penalty, Patrick. Even with the grid penalty, I am saying Lewis finds a way to win. It's a prediction. And it's going to come true. You watch. So my race winner, even with his 5th place grid drop, is Lewis Hamilton. Your race winner for the 2025 Italian Grand Prix. It's out there, but I'm going for it. Is of 598 of you voted. I don't know. There's a weird low number of predictions for this one. So I don't know if some of you maybe... I did post it on Twitter. I did post it on the community tab as well. But I know sometimes people don't get it shown to them. So make sure you switch notifications on and do all that good stuff so that you don't miss the polls. Because I reckon a bunch of you... Yeah, look, FRDR, you didn't get the notification. A bunch of you didn't see it in the community tab and didn't get the prediction. Calvin didn't see it. Kira, you didn't see it either. I think I've got hidden Alita. Yeah, I think where I basically had like a month where I kind of had off because moving out and holiday and blah blah blah. I think YouTube kind of gives you a little mini ban hammer, so I've got to rebuild the momentum. That's why you're here. That's why you need to like the stream and comment and engage, because it helps me carry on doing what I'm doing, and I appreciate you all for it. Your race winner of the 598 of you who did get the notification and did give your prediction is Oscar Piastri. 42% of the vote. Ahead of Lando Norris, 25% of the vote. Charles Leclerc, 20%. And Lewis Hamilton, 5% of you are fellow Kool-Aid enjoyers. I mean, Leclerc winning isn't quite so crazy because, of course, Leclerc has been driving at a higher level than Lewis over the course of this season so far. But at Monza, anything can happen. And Lewis at Monza, Ferrari's going to be something special. It's so disappointing, though, that Ferrari haven't been able to fix their car, haven't been able to turn up, haven't been able to give McLaren something to think about this season, because a Ferrari pushing for a title going into round 16 at Monza, whether that is Charles or Lewis, would have been amazing, and it's just not the case. Sad times. Sad times indeed. But yes, Oscar Piastri, 42% of you think is going to get it done. We'll see. Banger driver, I've gone Carlos Sainz this weekend. Williams are good in a straight line still. It's not quite as much of a cheat code as it used to be for them. The Williams car is a little bit more, of a general car, but it still does have a strength in these high-speed sections. I'm going Carlos Sainz because, honestly, you know why I've gone Carlos Sainz here? Because I genuinely feel that this could be the weekend that Alex Albon gets on the podium. And I really can't bring myself to jinx it. Like when it's like a long shot, yeah, chuck Albon in. But when I think he's actually got a chance of getting it done. And the thing is, Carlos does know how to win races. He's got an incredible racing IQ on him. He knows how to operate at the front better than Alex knows how to operate at the front. I think that Williams car's going to be quick this weekend. So, part of it, I don't want to jinx it. Part of it is that I know Carlos is clutch at the front. So, I've gone Carlos. But Alex, come on. Oh my God, that would be so good. I'm welling up just thinking about it. I'm a well of emotion. The Williams car isn't as slippery as it was, though. You're right, Dylan. You're right, it isn't. But even last year, where the car was, still more of a general car than it had been in 23 and 22, Albon still got into Q3. Was P9, I think, in qualifying. So, you never know. Your banger driver is Charles Leclerc. 29% of the votes, 14% Lewis Hamilton. So plenty of belief in the Ferrari drivers out there. 12% Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Fingers crossed. Of course, we know what happened to Antonelli around Monza last year, don't we? When he went out in FP1 and for some reason, Mercedes were like, yeah, just go full pelt on soft straight away. What's the worst that can happen? And he crashed. So, fingers crossed, at his home Grand Prix, second home Grand Prix of the season, things are a bit better than they have been as of late, for sure. P9 is in the podium, though. Yeah, Martin, leave your logic and reason to one side, okay? I'm in delusion Albon is going to get a podium mode, all right? Don't test me with facts and logic. And then Albon 9%. So 9% of you are out there. I see you. I see you out there. It wasn't me just voting Albon constantly with all my burner accounts, I promise. It wasn't. I promise. I would definitely tell you if it was me. Clanger driver, for me. I've gone Lance Stroll. Because I think Lance is overdue a bit of a stinker. Because so often, like, Lance will drive like, okay, he's done all right. Yes, I know, obviously, it wasn't great last weekend. The result ended up being pretty good, but, you know, a bit messy. I feel like Lance is, it always comes in waves, you know. He'll have a few decent results and all right races, and then he'll have an absolute howler, and I just feel like, I'm just saying, Lance, it is what it is. And your clanger is Franco. 16% of the vote for Franco Colapinto, 13% for Lewis Hamilton, 12% for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the exact same amount of the vote that you got for Banger Driver, and 11% Lance Stroll. To be fair, Franco, probably his strongest weekend in an Alpine last weekend. Something to build on. And yes, the Alpine has a power deficit and isn't great on its battery. So surely in Monza, they are going to be stone dead last. So I understand from that point of view. And Gasly will probably be stronger than Franco. So fine, valid. But I feel like Franco's finding something. I do. I really do. Just off of a point as well. Unlucky Franco. That's your clanger driver. Banger team. I've gone with Ferrari. Shock. And so have you. 38% of you. 27% Williams. 10% McLaren. 6% Racing Bulls. Again, the Williams still is good in a straight line. Definitely hasn't lost that as an asset. It's just not as strong an asset as it was relative to the rest of its performance. So we'll see about that. 10% McLaren, obviously. You know, Piastri's probably winning this race last year if he doesn't go for the two-stop. Norris is probably closer to show if he's not going for the two-stop. And the McLaren's even better relative to the Ferrari than it was last year. So, hard to look past McLaren, but you never know. That tyre preservation is going to be clutch. That tyre preservation is going to be very, very clutch. 38% of you, though, think Ferrari are going to get it done. 6% for Racing Bulls as well, which I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the power unit. You know, the Honda power unit in the Racing Bulls probably should be okay. But the Red Bull cars, or at least Red Bull Racing, don't typically end up doing that well around Monza. At least not last year. And they didn't qualify very well, did Max or Yuki. So, we shall see. And then finally, Clanger team. I've gone Alpine because they have no power. You've gone Alpine, probably because they have no power. 33% of the vote, 15% Aston Martin, which I'm surprised about because I think actually they'll be all right. At least Fernando. 13% Ferrari and 9% Red Bull Racing. Lovely jubbly. Okay, there you go. Bangers and clangers. Broadly, well, the drivers are all different. The teams are the same. So we'll see who comes out on top this weekend. Mine are definitely a bit more out there. Yours are definitely more safe. You're very safe, aren't you? Very, very safe. Very safe chat. I'm a bit more out there. But then I'm just one individual, whereas you are a collective, a mass of glorious individuals. Right, okay. Excellent. Lovely jubbly. Happy days. If you've just turned up, obviously breaking news about Colton Herta. He will be test driver for the Cadillac Formula 1 team. Possibly reserve, possibly FP1s. We will see. And possibly F2 next season as well. That feels like it's going to be confirmed fairly shortly. Paul Aaron, FP1. Thank you, T. Appreciate that as well. Yes, Paul Aaron will be in the Alpine, I guess, for FP1, right? Because he's already had a go in the Sauber a couple of times now. So I guess he's Alpine FP1. He can't be reserved without a super license. Oh, right. Yeah, there we do. Yeah. He can be doing FP1. Yes, you're right. You're right, Halita. You can. Oh, yeah, and Alex Dunn as well. Thank you, Halita. Yep. Alex Dunn in the McLaren for FP1 as well. Paul Aaron in the Alpine for FP1. Colton Herta as a test driver for Cadillac and could do FP1s but can't be a reserve because he doesn't have the super license. That makes sense. That makes sense. Anything else? Hash should use Herta as FP1 driver in Austin. That would be cool. But I can't imagine Haas are going to really want to do any favours for Cadillac because, you know, Haas are America's F1 team, and now Cadillac are coming along and trying to kind of, you know, nick their sweets. So I don't know if they'll do that kind of favour, you know. That's what I'm saying. IndyCar City season. You know what, J-Pro? I didn't read into because I saw something about Will Power. Like, has he actually been released? Is that true? Because if so, that's crazy. Because Will Power's a legend. Legend. Love him. Love him. Is the Hardcore band softer this weekend than last time? I don't know compared to last time, Jithu, but it's still C5 to C3. So, yeah, it's on the softest end. They do have the C6 now, but you know that's kind of reserved for Monaco. Got this cut on my finger that I keep reopening. Very annoying. Right, we have been going for 47 minutes now, and I think that's about enough. So, hope you enjoy. The Italian Grand Prix this weekend should be a certified banger. Fingers crossed. Lovely jubbly. Would love to see it. Might have another video coming for you later this week. But definitely a new video on Monday's the plan. Yeah, I should be able to get with you Monday. So stick around. Like, subscribe. Watch my video about Isaac Hadjar that I put out on Monday as well. I got my head right down to make sure I got that out on Monday. And it's doing really well, actually. So would benefit even more from an extra few views from you lot. Appreciate you taking the time. I am in the alternative surroundings, which is now going to be the temporary but more permanent surrounding. This is not the childhood home anymore, but we've sorted the internet out now here. So the streams should be lovely and silky and no issues. So this will be the home of TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG for the foreseeable future. And yeah, nice and pink vibes. Pretty good. Does the job, doesn't it? Happy days. Right. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Patrick, Utsav, Central, J-Pro, Hop Hayes, Kira, Rainer, Josiah, Matthew, Dan, Nathan, Philip, Aces, Limes, Lance, Sam, George, Jithu, Patrick, Joby, Halita, Wheel Talk, Freya, Steve, Yard Animal, Tina, Kira, Dylan, Nicole, all of you. Appreciate you so much for taking the time. Again, if you're Apple Podcast, Spotify, this is on there as well. Drop like, subscribe, comment, rate, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff. Interact however you wish. And fingers crossed, we get a double Ferrari podium and Alex Albon. That's the play. Hamilton, Leclerc, Albon, McLaren's crash into each other. No one's hurt, of course, but it's some drama between them two because that will really ignite this championship fight. Because it's been a bit too nice for me, you know. Like, imagine this was a champion. Imagine it was like Max and Charles as teammates, or like obviously Max and Lewis in 2021. I want a bit of spice in my title fights, and this has been a bit too nice. So let's have them trip up over each other and then it be a bit contentious. Not like in Canada where it was obviously Lando's fault. Give us a bit of sauce, lads. Come on. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you all for taking the time. My name's Tom. Thanks, Ian. Have a good one. Ta-da.